We're gonna meet up quick.
Uh-oh. Makes me wonder what you got planned here.
There, get ready.
Better.
Strap down.
We got windows open.
You're right, because I came in, I thought, oh, it's nice in here. So it is gonna be about it, that's the thing afterwards, but no.
Just got warmed up and then I sat down.
They got through this and stuff. It was comfortable. Who's been in my ears, but it's project of Michigan, he's happy with that. Except they took on a perfectly pig. Ooh. Go. Yeah, he says, yeah, you know, whatever you did, that camera took a piss. And he took it off. He didn't put it back. Oh, the actually people. What's on back those?
We got planning commission.
Oh, is it?
Now I don't have to print it.
Michigan to release to next Wednesday, then next year. So
Our-
it's just fair.
It's all paved and everything, all the underground stuff. Oh, that's the city manager though.
What's that?
I went to coffee this morning and Ray, Guthrie, is it Ray? He used to own the printing shop. I guess the three of them had put in a nice curb, just those three houses. And when we did the streets, those curbs came out. I don't know if they thought that was a city or.
There was someone that had because they did that, went back in.
He said, I don't know if they did, I don't
Where
think
was
it's
that?
that Michigan, up on the playground. These are the guys that are the entrance to the playground on top of the hill. The three houses right there.
It's a donor.
I got a copy this morning, I don't think his was, but I don't know.
Tell them to get on it. So we'll get back next year.
We still got a list.
Yeah. I got my first Chloe complaint.
That's a problem.
Oh, for yeah, there was several of them where they took out the restoration work ended up. Nobody's called it on my complaint yet, but see, I do have the cover of darkness and they're all sleeping.
I'll go over it.
But I've redone some grass and removed it. Thought it looked better up in the snowbank than on
There you
the
go.
ground. I guess Boyle has a budget for spring. They go around and plant grass. Sure.
I think I might need to.
If you find out that's the case,
Yeah, yeah.
I know.
because nobody else.
He's pretty good about that. It's a different kind of company.
I think we just shut that TV.
I had a long time, I didn't know he was stuff. Because everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Now there's every time they can hear you. You want to pick up a truck or
right,
get a plow that you're a plower.
yeah, well. I think there's a learning curve on this.
Yeah, nobody ever thinks to pick up that blade a little bit,
You
you know, unless you get a surprise, you pick up the blade. That happens.
Yeah.
Or I had the other night, I had to cover,
Yeah,
that's
stage.
and you look at a straight shot, think, okay, that's all parking, so I'm gonna disrupt it. Oh, you got these little concrete things that come out for no reason whatsoever. Except for it looks good, it's some, but it's permanent,
In the winter.
so when you go to plow it,
Something.
something.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know, I wasn't. So, I think a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are in a hurry.
Right, oh, that's
Boy,
the
that's
thing,
just-
just get done as quick as you can. Absolutely,
It takes you an extra 2 minutes to slow.
yep.
We're off camera, we taking that.
Not to woman. We're not to woman.
Or would it tell some, all right, we gotta stop. I
Nobody's
gotta go.
allowed to do anymore. That's.
Remember when COVID was saying I should break, I gotta go pee. And you get them. Barely that.
Get to the end. So reports and stuff and his chair back, put his feet up and you touch an hour. Oh my God.
They'll be taking their money back by
Surprising bum stuff. Oh my God.
His famous thing was,
Try it one more time.
Hey, we could.
Tobin's famous line is, you never pick a fight with somebody who orders their ink by the gallon and their paper by the ream. In other words, a mind draw at that time.
That's true.
Watch the whole, you get in the draw for.
All right, kids.
Yeah.
It's-
Is your Ovaltine decoder rings ready?
It is 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, Kathy. Here.
Here.
Here. Here. All right, item number 3, approval of agenda. What's your pleasure? Have a motion and support to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Public comment. Last call for public comment. You're fine. All right, business items, Anderson Tackman Company, the 2024 audit presentation.
Should have a big book and then a little coloring book, as I like to call it. Wherever you want to go, we can go with the meeting. We have all night. I see there's all kinds of stuff on the agenda. I can read all night. As long as you want.
Michael? Talking silly.
I'm feeling a short version requested.
Yes.
Page 5 is the opinion.
In the book?
The book, yep. You comply with all the generally accepted accounting principles. It says they're your statements, not ours. And we take a sampling of transactions. We don't look at every single transaction. Looking at page 18 and 19, when you roll everything up on page 19, you added $9.3 million to the bottom line. That's a little bit skewed in some respects from the standpoint of the business type activities added 9.8 million to the bottom line. But the big piece of that is if you look on the page and we'll just kind of flip there, you added 8.8 million in grant dollars in the sewer fund to support the project you're going in. So the revenues recorded, you spent the money that went on as a capital asset. So that's why you're going to see this difference in this big gain this year, because you're going to depreciate that project over 40 years. So that's why you kind of, when I say it's kind of skewed, that's why. It's not like it all went in your pocket, you spent a bunch of it. The governmental funds lost about 178,000. So if we look at page 18, looking at the equity, you ended up with a net position of $45 million. Unrestricted is 2 million. But if you look at your net pension liability, that's a big piece of it at 2.8 million. So if you kind of take that out, you're in the same boat everybody else is. That covers that difference. The nice thing is with your pension liability, it's nice and not at the same time. I don't know if I can find my page numbers in my book are all out of order. 71. So looking at the pension plan, you're now over 95% funded, which is good. You know, last year you had the $1.7 million grant come through. In 2021, you got the bond to pay off the first plan. So, you know, you're not fully funded, but you're really close. So, you know, that's nice to see. Now it's just making the payments and riding the wave over time to see how that's gonna play out. When you look at page 74 and the police and fire pension, that has a liability of 2.1 million. So you're just under 70% funded there. So looking at, well, we don't have all the data for 24, so that's why I just look at 23. So you're about 70% funded there. So your maintenance, it's holding its own. So.
Oh, we only bonded the MERS, right?
Correct.
So when we look at the 73% on the police and fire, that's increasing at over the year. But if we look back to 74, I mean, 2020, 74%, then it went up to 79. Is that market doing that to us,
Yeah.
investment?
Yes, it's market that's doing it, because you can look at 22 and you can see the net investment income. Then you had a big loss that year,
Yeah.
and that's, you were going up and then it tanked, and now it's coming back up again. Let's look at the general fund. Which is page 79, and we can go to the coloring book at the same time. So the general fund ended the year with a loss of 180,000. Your final budget was at 254 of a loss, so you came in 70,000 better than what you had anticipated, giving you a fund balance of $743,000. And if you look at the first graph, looking at your fund balance and your cash, you know, 21 is skewed because that's when the MERS bond came through and kind of skewed the numbers and the cash there. But overall, you know, you just kind of fluctuating from year to year, up and down. Looking at the revenues, I can just put that, you were within $6,000 of your final budget on revenues, so that's good to see. And looking at where's your money coming from? No surprise, most of it's coming from property taxes. And that's where, if you look at the 5-year trend on revenue, other than 23, where you had the first grant that came through, it's pretty consistent. It's just kind of slowly chunking its way up over time. Expense wise, you were within 66,000 of your budget, so that's good to see. Where's the money going? Big one, no surprise. Public safety is the big one. General government's the big one, next biggest one. Nothing out of the normal there. And that's where, if you look at the 5-year trend, other than 23, when that first grant came through, everything's just kind of chunking up over time from there. Looking at kind of the book and the graphs here, looking at the sewer fund. So if we look at page 25 in the sewer fund, or 25, just looking at the sewer fund, you had the big swing this year because of the big grant coming through. But other than that, if you kind of look at your operating revenue, it's slowly coming up over time. Your expenses are kind of flat. You ended up with 18.5 million in net position. most of that 15.5 of it is related to the infrastructure and everything that's in the ground. So if you kind of look at the operating side of it, you actually had a gain of 300,000 for sewer. You know, kind of the meters are working, all that's kind of cleaned up. That's helping both the sewer and the water. And that's where if you look at the water fund, it added money to the bottom line of 1.2 million. And there again, you had some state and federal grants come in to help the projects to offset that. But that gives you 11, almost 12 million in equity, and 10 million of that's the stuff in the ground, the infrastructure and stuff. So those funds have kind of come a long way. Once we're here, the campground fund ended up with only $3,000 of equity. But if we look at 24, most of it's related to infrastructure. So you had a unrestricted deficit of almost $300,000 that you had to file a plan with the state for. And that's where he said, hey, we're just gonna move that into the general fund and run it from there. And then the motor pool fund had a big loss this year of 180 some thousand dollars. You have positive total equity, but most of that's related to the equipment, but you have an unrestricted deficit of 15. So there again, you have to file a plan with the state. You're gonna suck that into the general fund here going forward. And that's where you had a couple other funds that ended up in.
Let me,
Yes.
one question, mate, the motor pool fund, when is that gonna be gone?
It is gone. We just had, so that was the reason we ended up with the deficit in that fund is I started to transfer everything over at year end. Then we went through our year end close, stuff shifts. Accruals happen and I just didn't get the closing in time. So it's done. We aren't operating a motor pool for.
So that'll be all zeros?
It's all, yeah, it'll be all
Okay.
zeros on your 25 statement. That was just me.
No,
not getting
perfect.
to it in time.
Yep, perfect.
Yep, and so if we look at page 87, the library state aid fund ended up in a deficit of well $300. And I think that was just mostly a timing thing.
Yeah.
And that got fixed up. And then on page 89, the Partridge Creek Fund and the passport grant, like both of those ended up in a deficit also. And that's kind of project expenses got paid before any of the revenue actually came through on those projects. So once that revenue comes through, you'll be sitting okay with those. That's the short version.
Any questions from council?
On the Partridge Creek, we're just waiting for federal money, state money, or?
It's actually already done. It was just timing as of December 31st, 2025, and we're only allowed to accrue revenues back that we receive up until March 1st of that year. And since we received that after March 1st, we were not allowed to allocate it back to 2024. So that revenue is recognized in 2025, and I believe the account's zeroed out right now.
I think that's something that Gray has helped me to understand, but I don't know that we did the proper thing in the past. That we might have moved that money to make it look good. And what I'm learning now is we don't do that. It might look a little different, like a little negative, but it's proper and your explanation is more than adequate. And people at home might not realize that. They might say, well, there was a shortcoming and not understand your explanation. But when the clock stops ticking, you guys have to do the audit. If the money's not there, that's okay. The audit still goes on. And I don't have a business background, but I think I understand it thanks to your help.
I appreciate
Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Yeah, and the message for the folks at home, you know, is nothing went wrong with the project, nothing went wrong with the grant. Partridge Creek didn't do anything wrong. It was just timing of revenues and reimbursements for an open project.
Perfect, thank you. Anything else?
Just answered my question. Yep.
Thank you.
Ben?
Good.
Right. All right, very good. Thank you, Michael.
We wanna go further, got more in depth,
Do we,
we can talk about all the debits and credits and how everything flows out.
I was gonna say, do we want to? I think that for laymen, I think the best part of this is we didn't end in the red for the first time in grade. Do you wanna say it?
I think this is the first year we had no findings, really, other than the finding that
We have every year that we put the report.
that you put the report together,
But other than that, yeah, so, you know. You got a good accountant here on staff using it, you know, I'd hire him if I could, but.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Thanks for coming in.
You know.
Yeah.
But, you know, things are getting cleaned up, you know, organized, you know, this thing shift, priority shifts, but, you know, it's not like I was here at one time when I was in here saying water and sewer fund are bone dry, the general fund is bone dry, and there's no money anywhere. So, you know, things are coming around, look better, lot of projects, a lot of things, so somebody's had to do a lot of work around here.
Yep.
Keep track of all of that in the books and everything, and that's where, you know, you look at the finance department. He stepped up pretty good last few years with all the transitions and everything to keep everything up the street there.
You know, and one of the things I said when we had our Lake Superior thing at the senior center there is we've had decent people over the years. And this time we have them at the same time. We've got an operating structure that is all good people as far as I'm concerned, and so we're keeping it. Just for those of you who are thinking, I'd like to snap these people up. We're hanging on.
Things can happen to you.
So no other questions for Gray or Michael? All right, we're gonna call her good. Thank you both. Put the coloring book away.
I wanna put that one on the fridge.
What's that one? I'm afraid.
Need a big.
All right, now we're gonna move into the, I gotta ask, do we want to adopt the budget?
I think that's up to you guys.
I think you can.
We can't, we gotta go one more. Oh, we're a day short. I gave it a shot. All right, we'll move on to the 2026 budget discussion. And do we want Gray to kick us off on that?
Yeah.
I would like that.
Yeah, you guys have stuff, previous budget discussion, but previous.
Let's go over that.
Yeah, so of course, you know, friendly reminder, we can discuss anything at any time. Where we left things, going over the major funds and sort of operating, standard operating, expenditures and revenues and how staff is gonna play into that. So just to catch everybody back up to where we kind of left it, I think that the majority of discussion as far as direction setting, unless we're gonna do some major personnel changes or direction changes, which we can discuss, if that's you know, what council wants to do, but I think we'd be best spent discussing the CIP plan. So if you're at home tracking along, our public improvement fund mills about $600,000 every year. About $200,000 of that goes towards existing debt service. And so what we are going to discuss now is the general capital improvement plan for the city and how that relates to the public improvement plan. Or the public improvement fund. So as you can see for our list for 2025, just a friendly reminder, not all of these are being funded out of the public improvement fund. Some of these are water and sewer funds. And some additions, I think since the last time we may have looked at this, I don't know if we had the building in City Hall RFP on there. So at the very bottom of the 2025 list, you'll see $100,000 for assessments, planning, design for repair, replacement of DPW, police, fire, and city hall buildings. So Randy had a great idea about, you know, in order to take advantage of any funding which may become available, the city does need to show that we're ready to utilize that funding. And rather than piecemealing buildings and trying to figure out how we're gonna fix, you know, just the part of the fire tower or how we're gonna find more room for our police, taking a more comprehensive look at what we need, and that might be a more appealing plan to pass up to the state or capture a grant to show that we've kind of done that homework overall. So I think that's really good. $100,000 is our current estimate for what that design and planning might cost. And you can see there, it's in that gap column, meaning we have not identified a funding source for that yet. Possible funding sources for that could be your general fund reserves, although I'd wanna take a look at our policy that we have on the books on our general fund reserve and make sure that we're, you know, comfortable with that as we close out 2025. And then the other addition on here, I think we got an updated number for Cedar Street paving of $26,900. So that was really favorable. I'm really comfortable recommending council pull that funding out of local streets. We have enough fund reserve to handle that project. And the other new addition is the hospital roadway. And we got an estimate of 115K for that. Original estimates that we were looking at were closer to 300,000, and that really kind of gave me pause. Our local street right now, as of September 30th, has a fund balance of roughly $770,000. So a $300,000 expenditure out of that fund balance would significantly drain your reserves. But seeing as it's coming back now closer to the 115 range, I think that's a safer bet to use some of that money that we've squirreled away. And I know the hospital access road is, you know, certainly been degrading over the years. It has been since I worked there. And like, I think it's a road that would be utilized by the public. So I think it'd be a great. Yeah, and yes, thank you.
Water problem, yep. Yeah, they put in the money to make sure the water didn't hit the road anymore, it goes off the inside their property, coming off the parking lot, so we don't have that issue anymore.
Yeah, and then the only other thing is as far as the brass wire solar installation. I talked with Chris and I had some contact with another solar contractor about the project. And so I identified general fund as a possible source, using a little bit of money from general fund. And my idea behind that is basically if we're coming down to making a choice between getting a smaller service drop from UPCO, which would be utilized for, you know, a small number of campsites, or a larger service drop, which we could maybe 5 years down the road tie in more sites or bring power to a stand or a pavilion. That might be something that would be beneficial. So I'd like to see what I don't have those numbers yet, but I'd like to see what the funding difference would be between a larger service drop and a smaller service drop. Because if it's a difference of 10K, that might be a really great investment for the city to have the availability to tie into power for the entire campground down the road.
I think the only other one was the garbage and recycling. I don't
Oh.
think we had that on last.
Excuse me, yeah. And then obviously the garbage and recycling carts, which would be a mixture of grant and their garbage reserves. So we have a pretty good reserve right now in the garbage fund, I think about $600,000. So we should be able to, you know, easily meet that grant match for those carts and hopefully keep some trash and blowing recycling out of the streets in the winter.
We can get 80% reimbursed from Eagle for the recycled. We're not able to get any reimbursement for the garbage ones. And then there is other mechanism trying to get the 20% match. I'm trying to work on that, but we have it in here that we're not getting the 20% match, just in case we don't get it. So this is that total cost. And then I do have an ordinance change that would have to go into effect if you approve this. Then the ordinance change, once we get them and they're delivered, then the ordinance would take effect. So it's basically just changing over to the fact that we have carts. But we'll have that ready, guys.
Anything else you guys want to touch on?
I think for the CIP list, that pretty well covers it. You know, just a reminder, the CIP list is an approved list of projects slated that we're going to try and target. It isn't your budget. So I just want to clarify that point. that the public improvement fund budget that you pass is the budget. The CIP list is sort of an overall guidance for staff on what projects we're gonna target for this year, so we can plan and keep you guys apprised as to our funding sources available.
And I think in the past that, I don't think we looked at it the way you're explaining it. I think we looked at it and did oh my God, we can't do this, or that's not there's nothing on here that's getting paid until council approves getting it paid.
Yes,
So
the existence of an item on the CIP list would still need to go through your normal bidding and purchasing approval process.
Exactly. Any questions for the manager or Gray?
Just one thing, we had talked about more the wastewater treatment plant. I don't know if that's been talked about in any city or.
Us, I guess, right? I mean, that.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that would be for us.
yeah, technically both Niwa and the wastewater treatment plant are not ours. I know we have a share in the wastewater treatment plant. So technically we are sort of an owner of that, but as far as the budget that we're passing, we're not discussing really anything for the wastewater plant. That maybe in the future, if we had to provide aid or we were going to make another contribution or something, I don't know, but.
They'd have to request that. You're
Yeah.
really gonna see through increased costs.
Yes.
And sewer bills.
And we continue to work with the wastewater authority pretty much monthly, hey, and work toward that end, but as it stands right now, it would go on to the customers. We wouldn't be writing any checks or any such thing.
No.
And if you go back to Niwa, when we did the well, it was simply because our partner wasn't going to go out and contribute. And it was a better deal for us to, what was that amount?
I think they were requesting, it was something very small, like 600. Yeah, it was not, it was.
And we contributed in like name only, we're getting repaid at our average.
As they draw.
Yeah.
Have a need for the project.
So even though we did make a contribution, we didn't. We're just the middleman and they're paying us back with interest. Instead of writing bonds or like that, we were able to, thanks to our new water system, and as Mike said, we're doing pretty good, so we had a little buffer there, but normally those two would not cause us any grief.
I have not seen any draws from Niwa or requests come through, just so you guys know. I'm just kind of waiting on Jake to let me know when they need to start drawing on that.
That well's in, right?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard, like I said, I haven't heard from them, and so but just so you guys know.
Very good. Any other discussion, questions, thoughts? I hate to break a record here on meeting time, but nope, it's a living document, eh? We could be looking at adding something or removing something, or if, like Gray said, if a funding opportunity pops up over here, we slide it in and we take it off here.
Yeah, you have till November 30th to make any changes, and then you just can't make changes till January 1st, pretty much, and then you can make changes again, so.
Yeah, we can have it at the next council meeting for approval of the budget if you want to, or we'll have it on there. Then if you approve it, you approve. If you don't take any action, it just takes effect.
Oh, I did want to clarify the DDA is going to provide, I think, one more bit of input on their budget. And I wanted to just clarify with council that the DDA would or might recommend a change to their budget, but seeing as how our DDA is set up here, they're really in control of their TIF funds, but I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware, since you do have the DDA budget in your packet, that if they make a change, that still could change, but that's always been their budget, so.
Very good. All right, we will move on to our final item of business, confirm appointment of Kathy Myron to a 3-year term on the Commission on Aging. Term expiring of 9/28. And that will be done. Do we need action? All right, I need a motion and support.
So
Support. A motion and support to confirm appointment of Kathy Myron to a 3-year term on, is that reappoint or appoint? It is reappoint, okay. Still supporting, I'm assuming, gentlemen. Reappoint Kathy to a term expiring 9/2028. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion passed. It's time. What's your pleasure?
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.